Good to have you in at this hour. We get straight into the arrest of the Gupta brothers, which has been widely welcomed. But it's not clear if and when they will face justice in South Africa. Many do expect them to fight extradition at every turn. But eNCA's Aviwe Mtila is watching developments and joins us now. Aviwe, good to have you. Good morning to you, colleague. Just give us the background on the Gupta's arrest and what exactly they're being charged with.
Morning, Tumela. It was actually around this time last year when we were in Bloemfontein at the magistrate court where the Guptas formed part of the 17 accused. Of course, at the time, 8 of them were abroad, or their whereabouts weren't known at that time. But of course, the matter dating back to 2011, the charges around money laundering and fraud and corruption, to that matter that involved Nulane Investment that was owned by Iqbal Sharma. We do understand they received a contract from the Department of Agriculture in the Free State to do a feasibility study ahead of the infamous Estina Dairy Farm project. You understand how 288 million was then laundered there allegedly in the Estina Dairy Farm, but this was a precursor to that dairy farm project where Nulane Investment was supposed to do a feasibility study to assess whether the grounds were conditionable in order for that Estina Dairy Farm project to go ahead. But we do understand that was then outsourced to Deloitte for a mere 1.5 million rand.
Right.
Deloitte having to do it themselves, but then money, we understand the allegations that we heard, was then siphoned off over a period of 7 months, laundered, eventually ending up to the Gupta account of Island Site Investment. We do understand charges there around the 24.9 million rand. Whether you do understand now they were arrested just on Friday, but extradition process, and speaking to Crispin Piri, says that it's still going to take a lengthy period. It's not going to happen today or even possibly not even the next year. Let's take a listen to Crispin Piri speaking to my colleague Tulasiwe Simelane.
Extradition is not a process of tapping someone on the shoulder and say, come, let's go.
Yeah.
It is often a drawn-out process that happens in the courts, and it's most likely that this extradition process would not be any different from other extraditions. Even in our own country, we've seen some extraditions take a couple of years to really conclude.
What legal avenues do the Guptas have at this point?
So we can expect them to fight this as much as possible while they are still in the UAE, trying not to have their matter heard here in South Africa. It's quite coincidental that just 3 weeks ago, Dumela was in Bloemfontein, where they were trying to halt the process of having their property and assets confirmed in terms of the restraint order. I understand that that was done last year, but the second leg of that needed to happen. Their legal representatives were there saying that that matter can't be heard until they got to go to the Supreme Court of Appeals to try and figure out. Remember, the company Island Site Investments was put under business rescue back in 2015. So they were having those internal squabbles within Island Site Investments in terms of who gets to run their legal matters. It's either themselves as the directors, Atul, Rajesh, together with their wives, or the legal, the business rescue petitioners. So that matter, of course, was dismissed by the High Court. Now you'd expect them to still fight some more in terms of even not having their court day here on South Africa, something that even Corruption Watch touched on just a bit earlier on. Let's take a listen to that.
Very positive development, and hopefully it takes us further down the line in terms of pushing for accountability for state capture. The UAE also has a system of rule of law, which the Guptas will be able to utilize. We know that they've laundered lots of money into Dubai out of South Africa so they can pay for the best lawyers. So, they're going to use every thing that's available to them to try to avoid this extradition. But hopefully the charges against them are sufficient. We can rely upon the legal system in the UAE and the treaty to do its work and let them come and face charges. Let them come to South Africa and face the charges and prove their innocence if that's their case.
Well, thank you so much, colleague, for bringing us up to speed with the arrest of Rajesh and Atul Gupta out in the UAE.